There is a trap that nobody warns you about. It is not poverty. It is not failure. It is not getting fired or passed over for promotion. It is something far more dangerous than any of those things. It is succeeding at the wrong life. Right now, 60% of American workers are grinding through jobs that do not meet the basic definition of a quality life. Not bad jobs, not low-paying jobs. Jobs they chose. Jobs they worked hard to get. Jobs they are genuinely good at. And yet they wake up on Monday morning with a weight in their chest that they cannot explain. They perform well. They get the raises. They hit the targets. And they feel nothing. Or worse, they feel trapped. There is a word for this, and the Stoics knew it 2,000 years before the modern career was invented. The Latin term is alienatio. It means the separation of a man from his own nature. Not from his employer, not from his paycheck, from himself. Marcus Aurelius, who ran the most powerful empire on earth for 19 years, wrote this in his private journal. Not for publication, not for praise, but for himself alone. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He was not talking about positivity. He was not talking about affirmations or gratitude journals. He was talking about the fundamental war that every man in a modern career is fighting and losing every single day. The war between who you are and who the system needs you to be. Today, I am going to give you the 5 Stoic laws that Marcus Aurelius used to build a life that no employer, no economy, and no layoff could ever take from him. These are not motivational tips. These are not quick hacks. These are weapons forged over 2,000 years of human suffering and human triumph. If you apply them starting today, your relationship with work, your identity, and your future will permanently change. Law 1. Master yourself before you master your job. Most men spend their 20s and 30s doing something that feels productive, but is actually the most dangerous thing they can do. They pour everything they have into becoming excellent at their profession. They study their industry. They optimize their output. They stay late. They take on more. They become indispensable. And the system rewards them exactly as designed. With more responsibility, more obligation, more dependency on the very structure that is slowly consuming the best years of their life. Here is what nobody tells you about becoming indispensable to a company. You do not own that value. The company does. The moment you leave, or the moment they no longer need you, every skill you built in service of their system means almost nothing outside of it. Epictetus knew this better than anyone. He was born into slavery in ancient Rome. He had no freedom, no rights, no property, and yet he became one of the most liberated minds in human history. He wrote this: "No man is free who is not master of himself, not master of his calendar, not master of his bank account, not master of his industry, master of himself." Before you can build a career that works for you, you have to be able to answer a question that most men cannot answer. Who are you without the job title? Not what do you do? Not what company are you with? Who are you at 6 in the morning before the emails start? Who are you on a Sunday with no deadlines? Who are you when the performance review no longer exists and nobody is measuring your output? Most men have no answer, and that silence is not a career problem. That is an identity crisis, wearing a business suit, going to work 5 days a week, and calling it a life. The first law is this: spend as much time building your mind as you spend building your resume. Read history. Study philosophy. Understand how the world actually works, not just how your industry works. Not to become more productive for your employer, but to become more yourself, independent of any employer. A man who knows who he is cannot be owned by anyone. That is where freedom starts. Law 2. Your skills are your only real security. In 2025 alone, over 13 million Americans were laid off. Not in a recession, not in a financial crisis, in a year when the stock market was setting record highs. Microsoft eliminated 19,000 positions. Intel cut 24,000. Goldman Sachs began replacing junior analysts with AI. And these were not bad companies. These were the dream jobs. The careers men sacrificed their health, their relationships, and their 30s to build and protect. Job security is not real. It was never real. It was a story told to men who were easier to manage if they believed they had something to lose. What is real is skill security. And skill security is completely different. Marcus Aurelius wrote this: "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the context of your career, this means stop waiting for recognition. Stop waiting for your employer to validate your worth. Start right now building skill that belong entirely to you. Skills that exist independently of any single employer, any single industry, and any single economy. The ancient Greeks called this arete. It means excellence not in compliance, but in the full expression of what you are genuinely capable of, not excellence in doing what you are told. Excellence in doing what only you can do. Think about this clearly. A man who can write persuasively and not be permanently unemployed. A man who can sell cannot starve. A man who can build and ship a product has leverage that no company can replicate. A man who can teach what he knows will always have an audience. These are not job skills. These are life skills. And the difference between the two is the difference between a man who is free and a man who is not. The warrior does not train only when war is declared. He trains in peace, so he is ready for anything. Your 9-to-5 may be stable today. Use that stability to build the skills tomorrow will require, even if tomorrow looks nothing like today. Law 3. Never let your identity become your job title. This is the most dangerous trap in the modern career, and almost no one is talking about it. When someone asks, "Who are you?" the automatic answer for most men is what they do for money. I am a software engineer. I am a project manager. I am a director of sales. The job title has completely replaced the self. Not gradually, completely. And the system designed it this way on purpose. Because a man whose identity lives inside his job title is a man who cannot leave. He cannot risk the promotion. He cannot say no to the extra project. He cannot walk away from the toxic manager, because to do any of those things is to risk not just a paycheck, but who he believes himself to be. Seneca wrote this in the 1st century, and it has never been more relevant than it is today. It is not that I am brave enough to face hardship. It is that I am wise enough not to mourn for the man who is still alive. He was writing about men who had already lost themselves inside their roles and did not even know they were gone. Think about what happens to men when they lose a job they were deeply identified with. It is not just financial panic. It is a full identity collapse. Who am I if I am not my title? What am I worth if no company is paying for my time? This kind of collapse happens to men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who have spent decades pouring everything into a role that was always temporary. The Stoic warrior does something different. He performs the role completely. He brings full discipline and full excellence to whatever work he does. But he never confuses what he does with who he is. He knows that his identity exists before the job, and it will exist long after it. He has what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, a fortress inside him that no employer, no market, and no layoff can ever touch. Start building your inner citadel right now. What do you believe independent of your career? What would you fight for if the paycheck disappeared tomorrow? What kind of man do you want to be remembered as? Not what kind of professional, but what kind of man? Answer those questions, and you will never lose yourself inside a job title again. Law 4. Build in silence. The most dangerous thing you can do in 2025 is announce what you are building before you have built it. Not because people will steal your idea. People steal ideas from men who talk about them constantly and still do nothing. That is not your enemy. Your enemy is something far more subtle. It is the way your own brain sabotages your momentum the moment you share a plan prematurely. Here is what the neuroscience shows, and what Marcus Aurelius understood through pure observation 2,000 years before brain scans existed. Every time you announce a goal, your brain releases a small dose of reward chemicals. It feels like progress. It registers like accomplishment. It is neither. You have done nothing. You have told someone about the thing you plan to do, and your brain treated it like you had already done it. And now you have less motivation to actually do the work. Marcus Aurelius never announced his plans. He executed them. He wrote in private. He reflected in private. He prepared in private. And then when the action came, it was total. His meditations were never meant to be published. They were written for himself alone. That is the discipline of a man who understood that silence is not weakness. Silence is ammunition. While you are still inside your 9-to-5, use the structure and the stability it gives you to build the exit quietly. Start the skill at 6 in the morning before the world wakes up. Start the project on Saturday. Start the income stream with 1 hour a day. Tell nobody at work. Do not post about it. Do not announce it on social media. Let the results speak when there is something worth speaking about. The ancient Stoics called this virtue hupomone, patient endurance, the ability to work towards something difficult over a long period of time without external validation. That is the difference between men who escape the rat race and men who spend their whole lives talking about escaping it. Law 5. Own your exit before you need it. Here is a question most men never ask themselves. If I lost my job tomorrow, what would I do on Monday morning? If the answer is panic, you are living inside a trap. If the answer is I would call 3 people who know what I can do, and I would start building immediately, you are a warrior. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of hardship, not pessimism, not fear. Preparation. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every single morning. He imagined the worst possible outcome and prepared his response before the event ever arrived. Your exit plan does not have to be built overnight. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be your entire income, but it has to exist. A skill you could monetize independently. A relationship with someone who values your work. A project that generates even $10 outside your employer's control. $10 that you earned outside the system is worth more psychologically than $10,000 from a company that owns your time. Because those $10 prove something the paycheck never can. That you are capable of generating value on your own terms. That is the beginning of freedom. Not the destination. The beginning. The 5 laws of the Stoic warrior are these. Master yourself before you master your job. Build skills that no layoff can touch. Never confuse your title with your identity. Build your exit in silence. And own your way out before you are forced out. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire under constant external pressure and wrote these words to himself. You are allowed to remake yourself, right now, this hour, until you breathe your last. You do not need permission. You do not need the right moment. You do not need your employer to agree. You need to decide. If this hit you, follow the channel. New video every day. Drop A if you are done being owned by a job that was never worth your life.